of where the episode ended. Take us into your thoughts and feelings of episode 3, Lee.
Okay, so that was a beautiful intro, by the way. Beautiful, beautiful. Um, we held you here forever for the first episode review, so we're not gonna do that to you again. So I'm looking at the time right now. Okay, I got it. So my first initial thoughts on this episode. Well, I really loved episode 2, and we actually missed a lot of things in that review. So I might mention some of them now. The special effects in episode 2 were crazy. I thought the fact that they just blew off a guy's leg first shot was crazy. This episode also didn't disappoint with the special effects, with the gulper and the bear wasn't in this episode. The bear was in the other episode, but that was also a good special effect.
I already had to do it. It frightening.
Yeah, no. That was a legit fuck. I'm sorry. That was a legit F word. I was like, oh no! I haven't seen anybody. He was like, why are you just standing there? Help me!
Oh my gosh.
But the minute that bear showed up, I knew it was a problem, but I didn't know how much it was a problem until it started fighting him. I was like, oh, yeah, that bear looked like it's winning for sure.
In this metal armor suit, even with this metal armor suit that we have on. But, all
Listen,
right,
they
so
don't pay me
moving
enough.
on, though, into episode 3, did you actually expect Lucy to be practical and pragmatic enough to cut off the head and take it with her in exchange for her father?
I mean, he's dead, right? Like, he took the cyanide pill, which I thought was hilarious. He was just like, she was like, no, come with me. He was like, oh, I already took this pill, so.
I'm going to say both of the things were surprising. A, that his leg got shut off. Was not expecting him to be harmed. I expected him to be longer in this journey. And then 2, that he took the cyanide. I'm like, oh, so he is seriously not, he's not going to be in this next episode, or we're not going to see him again? Like, wow.
I think he might show back up again, and they'll do kind of like a Lost turnaround.
I have to do some background as to what it was that maybe he shot into his head, or
right.
But I was thinking that he was going to be more up front and center in the journey.
Yeah, and then she got shot too, so they was hobbling in together. Yeah, it was like they had a shootout. So getting back to episode 3, I didn't think that she would kill him, but I think trying to carry a body across a desert with all these scandalous people probably would have been a lot. So I think she probably would have got over that, because I don't think she could have carried that body. Like, that was the only solution, was probably to do that. And that knife actually probably made it easier. That might seem gruesome, but I was like, oh, okay, that's doable, because you don't want to do that with a steak knife. Yeah, no.
That was definitely that's a knife. It's still from Crocodile Dundee. Now there's a knife.
I was just thinking, that's so considerate. Like, that was really considerate of you to bring this knife.
He was very forward-thinking and strategic. His only mess up was that he looked at that dog too long before hiding away in that cubby hole, before that other guy came and found him out.
Right. Okay, jumping right into it.
Can I go back to episode 2, though, real quick?
Yeah.
To a thing that we didn't mention. That machine gun that said, remain calm, when he came outside, I was like, I don't know if this is in the video game or who thought of this, but that was like just chef's kiss to hilarity. Like, you are not conveying any feelings of calm right now.
None. Absolutely none. Absolutely none.
Sorry. Okay. I'm going to let you go into episode 3, though, for real, this time.
Yeah, so I did want to touch on, I did really like the relationship between Max and her. Now, you don't see too much of it in this episode, but they're kind of chasing after each other. Um, the Golem and her, I feel like is a really good dynamic because she has this very optimistic viewpoint and he's got this very pessimistic viewpoint. Um, and
that could possibly also come with age too, you know? I
well,
feel
I was
like
gonna
when you're
say,
younger, you're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and then like I think of like people in the same job for a long period of time. Someone new coming in versus someone who's been in it for 25 years. Your outlook is very different.
yeah, it comes from her lack of experience with the outside and his experience with the outside. So like that's she gets her optimism because she hasn't spent too much time in it. He gets his pessimism because he spent a lot of time in it. Um, now I knew he was using her for bait. I thought his point on torture was very interesting. I haven't read any research that torture doesn't work, but it makes sense. I mean,
Torture
people
doesn't
probably
work.
don't want
People will say whatever they need to say in order to get you to stop torturing them. It doesn't have to be true. It most likely isn't true. You want me to say that the sun is blue? The sun is blue. Don't do this anymore. I can't handle it. People will
to.
say
Well,
that was my issue with Ozarks when he started torturing that guy. I was like, that guy's lying. He's saying whatever he feels he needs to say in order to stop the torture.
so I always knew that, but I always thought that also once you take off somebody's toe, a lot of stuff starts coming out. Now you might have to suss through what's true or not, but you will get a hint. So
I guess it depends on how it's performed. Sometimes
listen. I
psychological
don't know if
torture
you've
might
ever.
be.
I don't know if you've ever lost 7 toes.
I think that if you lose 3 toes and the person is lying to you, that's not going to work. That's not a path that you should choose. Now, I remember reading a book where what was it, The President's Vampire, and the guy
Sounds
was.
horrible.
It was
Sounds
actually a
horrible.
really good book.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Abraham
Um,
Lincoln Vampire was a good movie, bro. It was good. I just knew that was gonna be trash in the theater. I was like, this is gonna be horrible. It was lit. It was lit. Check that out.
so anyway, though, with it, essentially this guy is here to protect the president's vampire, and the president's vampire is really sent out as like an assassin for different things that you can't send the government or the army out based off of international rules or what have you. So anyway, he's kind of like the vampire's babysitter. So at some point, he kind of gets kidnapped and taken, and he says in his head, somewhere I really believe, like watching, all those like CIA movies and James Bond flicks, that I can handle torture. I can't. Absolutely not. It was it was like within 3 minutes I was telling the things I didn't even know about just to get it to stop. And I was like, hmm, hmm, that seems very real. So yeah, I don't know. I'd have to, I guess, to your point, maybe it works a little bit depending on the person and how you utilize it. But overall, you have to sort through a lot of information because people
Mhm.
will lie just to get you to stop. They'll tell you whatever they
Right,
think you want to hear.
right, right. You might have to sort through some stuff. I don't know. I don't know if you can completely rule out torture. Not that I'm torturing anybody, but I'm just saying. I was like, I think some people would talk. I mean, I think some people would talk just from seeing the weapons. So that's just my theory. Now he dipped her in the water as bait. Uh, um, the water is not good. You can't. It's not. You can't drink it or whatever. So that was problematic in there. Um, the gulper when it came for her was quick. Like I was trying to figure out what had just happened to her. Like I was like, oh man, the gulper is like moving. Uh, and then it took the head. Like I was like, oh snap. And
So
then you
I
said,
was wondering how she had that head secured because I was like, how does she have her backpack on and that wasn't taken, but the head was gone? Like for you, the head has to be the most important thing. So why was that? the least secured on your backpack. Also, did you not see Jurassic Park? Don't go to large bodies of water. That's where the big animals are at.
Well, the water is toxic, so yeah, I don't know what you had to do out there.
I don't know, but I her going to that baby deer had no survival skills. I've seen deer. I don't know what was going on with that deer.
Yeah,
That deer wanted to be
that
food, as
deer.
far as I'm concerned, because it hung out there. Um, the water started rippling. The thing popped up, and that deer didn't take off at all. It was just like, I guess I'm food. And I was like, yeah, you are. You were cute. You will be missed. R.I.P. baby deer.
It really was. Really was a cute deer. That's why I was like, oh. And at that point, I didn't even know what had taken it. I was just like, yep, that's not coming back.
Yeah. So then the other thing, going back to Maximus, um, so we see him. He has the armor, or the armor's off. He goes to make the call to command or control to say, give himself some glory by saying, "The squire has died in the battle of glory. I am sorry I didn't check in on time." Yada yada yada. Oh, we'll send you a new squire. No, you don't need to do that. I'm good on my own. And I was just like, buddy, you didn't think this out? You didn't think this
He
out at
handled
all?
it very rough. He handled it very bad. Very bad.
Cut to him then coming back and seeing the scavengers all around the armor. I was like, A, why would you not hide the armor? B, you come up and were like, hey, leave it alone. You know, Captain America stance or Superman stance, like they were supposed to just run off. And then you got your butt whooped. It's like, buddy, you're not a good fighter. We saw that in episode 1 where you, well, I shouldn't say that we saw that because it was definitely a circle of 5 people. But you're definitely outnumbered here too. So what did you think was about to go down? Like, use some strategy. This boy just fall. I mean, every time I see him, I feel like he fails upward. Because he
Yeah.
really, like, the only reason he survived that was because they started opening up that
And
armor, so he
they
was
put
able
him in
to
a position
fall
to be
into
in the
it
armor,
and
yeah.
utilize it.
That's
Yeah.
why he survived. Yeah. Um, I wanna like stand up for him, but he's not leaving me much room. 'Cause like you're not you're not dead, right? So that plan that you just laid for telling them that you were dead and then the person who is dead isn't dead is going to be problematic at some point. At some point, they're going to realize, wait a second, there's a body here. And then they're going to realize, wait a second, where's the suit? So it's like,
And this body doesn't match up with the squire's body.
and they can track the suit. Like this is they're not letting their property just out there. So it was just like you had the perfect setup. You even said it yourself. You're like, um, an abomination came, the bear like it took out homeboy. I'm still here. But the problem with this guy, and I think me and my sister think very differently on this, he he wants to be the hero. So instead of oh, she's agreeing. Instead of reeling it in, he's making all the choices so that he is behind the steering wheel. Even if that steering wheel goes into a wall, he just wants to make sure that he's driving it. Um, I think he's giving himself a lot of those false hero ideas to justify the things that he's doing. But the logic piece, you could be a supervillain, but I'm just saying, your logic, it didn't work in that lie. Like that was a real bad lie. And you probably should have been able to tell that that was a bad lie, just from living.
So, what do you think about his treatment of his new squire?
Um, on a scale of 1 to petty, I think he's actually not that bad to him. Like this is someone who actually physically tried to hurt him, and he's playing little games here and there. But I feel like he could be a lot worse than he's being. Um, and when he said what he said about it being the circle of life and somebody hazing somebody because somebody hazing something, and that's just. I guess he thought that was a touching moment. I fundamentally don't believe that. Um, I think it at some point somebody always has to say this stops with me, and it sucks. It's not fair, but this whole just because somebody hurt you doesn't mean you need to hurt somebody else. And I've spent a lot of my life explaining that to people. It's like, yeah, they hurt your feelings, but you don't have to go seek them out. You could leave it in the past. But yeah,
It'll
so
be
I
interesting
think
to see if Thaddeus will help Maximus end that cycle of bullying. Because, like, where it kicks off, it looks like he now has the power and he wants to be the bully.
well, it'd be interesting how he does that because it seems to me that technically he's bullying him. So he can't end the cycle because he's already bullied him.
I think that he can choose to be the person that the knight is supposed to be. He put on the armor. He commented to Titus to say that you're not what a knight's supposed to be. You're less than. He put on the armor and he's being petty and less than. He's not rising up to what his quote unquote standard of that knight is. So he can choose to be petty and a dick who's like, yeah, wash my cock plate or cock cup, whatever it is called. Or he looked like at one point he was also going to like try and take him out, or he could actually kind of befriend him and have them work together as a team. And at some point, that armor is going to have to come off.
Yeah. And it's going to be a conversation.
For sure. You definitely, and like all the more reason, like if he was really strategic, he'd want to win him over onto his side where they could be a team where he would be able to take that mask off and the guy wouldn't want to turn on him. He'd still want them to continue working as a team and want to keep that secret.
Yeah, I would go real slow with that because when it comes to your livelihood and your job, yikes.
I agree,
I go
but I
real
feel
slowly with
that
that.
I would be working to win him over because at some point it's
Yeah.
gonna have to come off. And then there's just so many things he doesn't seem to even know how stuff works. Like dude was like, yeah, refill your water. You need to sit down for this. And it's just like, dude, you're a squire too. Like, how do you not know the same things as this guy?
He wasn't as good in terms of like his studying. He wasn't as advanced. Um, so
All the
oh
more reason I feel that Dane got him this role. I really do believe that she said one of these other guys is one of the culprits. He's probably the best person who's going to be suited for this. He's going to rise to the moral standards of what a squire should do for their knight. I feel like she talked him into that position in that role,
mm,
or spoke
mm.
on his behalf for that role. Because I just don't understand how else he skipped ahead of everyone else to get knighted before some of these other folks. I'm just like, make it make sense.
Quick shout out to Liz Braden. I think it's her birthday. Happy birthday. I remember that
Happy
because it's
birthday.
420. Um, I feel like um he made some bad choices, but for the sake of time, I want to move on.
Yep.
I want to talk about the brother. So the brother seemed really smart to me in
Norm.
the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
In this episode, he seemed like he could be a little bit dark, but I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. And I also enjoy his intelligence to the council's intelligence. Um, because I've been in a job like that before, where people don't actually want to do anything. So everything that you bring to them, every um, ounce of information, they do absolutely nothing with.
Well, they were too busy trying to be the head person in charge. So they're fighting amongst themselves versus really wanting to do and execute. But nobody wants to be responsible to kill folks. Like, what's it? Capital punishment was clearly not a thing underground
In the
for them.
60s.
So they don't want to be the ones to say, yeah, take them out. They're talking about bringing them back into society and everything else. And he was like, I'm pretty much going to have to take this into my own hands, clearly.
I mean, those.
That was the feeling that I got from Norm. But you know who he kind of
Yeah.
reminds me of?
What? Who?
Karen from Walking Dead in the
What the,
later seasons.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. Um. I don't know what he's about to be. All I know is he's like, you can't punish me because I'm not really enthusiastic about any of these jobs. So I think
I
there are actually a lot of people like that, but I applaud him for saying
I think all of that was strategy. I think he ended up exactly where he wanted to be. I think he played them. He knew exactly who they were. He knew exactly what their strategy would be as far as how to quote unquote punish him. And if he said the right thing, he would get into the job role that he needed to be in.
it's interesting that you think that because I thought that they were all originally going with her, and then they were like, oh no, we're not doing that. So, well, actually, Chet wanted to come, but she drugged him. Um, so I guess at least there will be some left of that
I
family, I
will
guess.
say, going back to that scene though, where some of the other members kind of went up to the platform, and as she was kind of walking out with the door open, they're like, "No, don't do it." And then she leaves, and they cut to a close up of them. And he's like, "Well, that didn't work." I cracked up so hard. I was like, "Really? That was your big plan? No, don't." This has always worked in the past. Oh shoot! All right.
Going back to
So, big thoughts for episode 3. What were your overall thoughts as far as the theme of the show or theme of the episode, and what would you like to see for episode 4?
I got two things I'm going to say in place of that. What I was going to say about Max and being chose, I think what really got him there was his speech about him giving complete 100% loyalty. Um, One of the things that my mother instilled in me was leadership and how to have good ethics and morals. And the more that I go into companies, I find that that's not what people want. They want to know that you will be exactly what they mold you into, exactly what you'll be placed into. And I think Max was willing to say anything. And I think that put him ahead. Um, he's like, if I got to kill my grandmother to be this knight, then that's what's got to go down. So I think that's what really got him ahead, not so much his knowledge. Um, and then my next thought is, man, that council, yo, that council was just stopping everything from going down. And then the guy was just like, "This is something you want to talk about in private." And they were like, "He's not here now.
Oh
Let's do it.
yeah.
Y'all leading
So, well,
us.
so and so's not here, so we don't need to follow
Y'all
how he would do this. I was like, buddy, I don't know how more clearly he could have said that you guys need to take that one to a side table. It's like, whoa.
First off, if you're gonna have a meeting with the general population, I would hope that you have a meeting with each other first, because nothing is more irritating than you wasting my time not knowing what you're going to talk about at your meeting.
Agreed.
Like that is irritating. Like you don't even know what you're going to talk about. And then at first sentence, there's 4 holes in what you thought out on the fly. So now I gotta
I
ask 4 follow-up questions because this is what I'm supposed to be doing, but what you just said don't make no sense. Yeah.
Yeah, Vault. It's going to be interesting to see where Vault 33 goes. Um,
Because they ain't made for it. They ain't
Also,
made for the outside world.
I'm really curious on what happened to Vault. Was it 32 or 31? Whatever Vault had the blight that happened like 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, trying to see what happens there. But
Did you see overall themes?
I think that we see that I do agree with Dr. Ziggy that Lucy probably would not have been able to cut his head off if he had stayed alive, and that would have been a arduous journey if he had stayed alive. I don't know that I don't think I would have had that in me. Any of those things. Cyanide is a horrible way to die.
Yeah.
And also that little boot thing that she put on, where it cut through bone or whatever to get in there. Apparently not comfortable. But it was interesting to see that she was able to kind of, I guess, weigh pros and cons. It's not like desecrating a body was too awful to not do it over the weight of whatever is in his head could save the world or save the planet and save her father. So we'll desecrate the body in order. So I guess we're starting to see the shaping of people's individual moralities and like the lines that they draw for themselves throughout this episode. So you're seeing that with Lucy, with Maximus. It's still kind of unclear if he's going dark, light, where he's going to fall. If he's going to be a bully now that he has
honestly
power and
I think
ability.
I think everybody's unclear except for Lucy. Everybody.
I think that Lucy came in with a strong sense of her moral code, but I think that it's still unclear if she's going to change the world,
including the pregnant friend. Sorry, there's a lag. Including the pregnant friend, she looks like she could go any direction. The council doesn't really know what they're doing. It seems like the only person who really, really knows seems to be Lucy. Everybody else is kind of...
knows her purpose, but I don't know that her morality won't alter.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think morality would be the thing until Ben from Lost said that. I was like, oh, okay. So you're saying I got to be a whole nother person? Okay, cool. Didn't know that. And I might not want it once I become another person? Oh, wow. It's a lot.
Well, it will be interesting when she finds out who her dad is. And she's gone through this whole journey, what she actually truly wants.
Well, first up, I think she's going to find out the backstory behind it, her dad, because the way that they came after him was revenge. So
it was very...
yeah.
I mean, they shot him up like 4 times with those trank darts. I thought he was dead.
What are we doing with tranquilizers? This is a whole apocalypse. We need to be lighting people up like Christmas trees. I don't have the time. Like, we need to... I was like... And then she was like, he's still alive. I was just like, oh, he's y'all left somebody alive?
I thought that they had shot him.
Listen,
I was like, oh, I guess he's not.
Jennifer Love Hewitt, and I know what you did last summer. You can't be looking over your shoulder every 5 minutes. That's ridiculous. Because then they'd be multiplying and shit. Like, nah. I was like, what do you mean there's 2 killers? Yeah, no. With that being said, I really liked episode 3. I really like seeing the ghoul and her together. I'm excited to see everything that happens next. Yeah.
Agreed. I think that them working together is an interesting dynamic. I like the ghoul. I want to see and hear more about his backstory as well.
The flashbacks. We didn't talk about any of the flashbacks, but those were nice to see. I thought oftentimes in stories people try to throw these relationships together, and I don't actually feel it. But I felt that they had like a good, nice chemistry.
Which one? You're talking about Cooper and his wife?
Yeah, and his wife. I felt like they had a nice chemistry.
I thought that was a really cute interaction between them on the table and the gum and the lavender flavor. And he was like, oh, that is horrible.
That's horrible.
So yeah, I thought it was a cute dynamic. Now the other thing is Janie was about the age that we saw her at that party in episode 1. So again, I'm like, what happened to her mom? And what happened to Cooper that he went from
Radiation.
no, that he went from being a celebrity to doing kids shows so quickly. Because, like I said, Janie looked like she was about the same age. So that had to be
Hmm.
a fall like within like months.
Well, I think it has to do with this show because he shot out that sign and he was wearing the same costume towards the end when he was trying to sell.
Yeah, he was wearing the same costume as the Vault Dwellers. Yeah.
So, well, we'll see. We'll see. All right, guys. I got more reviews coming your way. I got more templates coming your way. And I hope you're ready for all of it. Catch you next time.
Bye.